Hi, this is Josh Marshall from TPM Media. It's Tuesday, March 18th, 2008. Here at TPM we talk a lot about political scandal, but most of the people we talk about are, veritable dilettantes. They're involved in the U.S. Attorney scandal, or maybe the Abramov scandal, some sex scandal, this scandal or that. But some members of Congress are genuine, specialists, kind of jack of all trades. They're involved in all the scandals. One of our favorites in this category is Representative Don Young of Alaska. He's got some stuff in Wisconsin. He's a big player in the Abramov scandal. He's a player in the Vico scandal, which is, pretty much bringing down the whole political class up there in Alaska. And he's even got this Coconut Road incident. And that's the case where not only did he get an earmark for a big contributor down in Florida, but he actually seems to have violated the Constitution in going in and putting the earmark in the bill after it had already been passed by Congress. But of late, we're actually starting to worry about Don Young, and we're kind of concerned that he may not be around in Washington for that much longer. Last month, he gave a press conference to press in Alaska, and it just wasn't a good thing. The reactions weren't that great, kind of some losing of his temper. You see here, a reporter asks him about that Coconut Road incident, and you can see what happens.
One of the bills that has not moved anywhere is the technical corrections on the transportation bill, and that's because Senator Coburn has a hold on it, waiting for an investigation to occur about how the changes were made. I wonder if you could explain how the changes were made involving the Coconut Grove interchange.
I don't know what changes you're talking about.
I
don't know what changes you're talking about, and I'm not going to discuss those changes.
Why?
I'm not going to discuss those changes.
I'm not going
to. No, you need to explain it. I'm the one giving the interview. You're not. I'm not interviewing you.
You don't understand my question.
I do understand your question. I've answered it.
Well, no,
I've answered it.
You
now, who else
saying you didn't understand it?
That's right.
So let me explain my question. The question is, how did the changes get made?
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
I have no idea.
Okay.
And that's it. I'm not going to discuss it anymore. If you have any other questions along those lines, just forget it.
Okay, I do have some more questions.
Next.
Now, Don has always been a big fundraiser too, but now it seems like the money he's raised for his re-election campaign seems mostly to be going for lawyers who are defending him in his multiple scandals. So here, another reporter asks him, what's with the lawyers? What are you paying these guys? What are you being investigated for? Again, answers not calm or collected.
Lawyers are expensive.
Could you give us some specifics?
No.
How many jurisdictions are you being defended in?
I have no idea.
Wisconsin, you have Troha. Florida, you have Coconut Road.
Maurer, you're making this all up, and it's just that's all that. If you're charging me with this, let's put it in your paper.
Well,
are you charging me with this?
I'm not charging you with
okay, then there's nothing to it.
But you don't think you should answer these questions about?
Absolutely not.
And why not?
Because it's not my prerogative to answer to people that have nothing to do with it. That's you.
I have nothing to
That's
do with
you.
Well, what about the readers of the paper?
What paper?
The Anchorage Daily News.
What?
The Anchorage Daily News.
Oh, I didn't know many people read that paper.
Is the campaign providing legal representation of Steve Doherty?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Go ahead.
You could explain how...
I don't need to explain anything, especially to you. That's nonsense. That's all nonsense, all insinuation. Now, you be careful what you say now.
So, okay, Don Young, he's got so much scandal going on that the guy's almost like a one-person mud wrestling match. It's really bad stuff. And as you can imagine, it's starting to get him in some amount of political trouble. He's already drawn a couple Democratic opponents for the next election. One of them is called Jake Metcalf, and who Young diplomatically refers to as Jake the Snake.
And I'm not going to answer Jake the Snake. I'm not going to answer anybody.
But over the weekend, there was the Republican State Convention up in Alaska, and here's where you had the unkindest cut. It turns out that a guy named Sean Parnell, who's lieutenant governor, is now going to challenge Young in the Republican primary. So Young has really been kind of blindsided by this, and now he's really pissed, and he was pretty pissed to start with. You remember last year on the floor of the House, he actually threatened some fellow members of the House of Representatives that he'd bite them like a mink. Apparently like some mink up in Alaska, it's always biting everybody. But he's pissed now about this Parnell guy. He's feeling he's spent all the, a couple decades bringing back all this pork for the state of Alaska, and now this guy has the nerve to run against him. So here you can see, again, this is this weekend at the Republican State Convention up in Alaska, Young wigging out about his current political predicament.
And I'm wondering, because, Sean did surprise me. He did have the decency to tell me he was going to do it ahead of time.
And thank you, Sean, for that. I really appreciate it. And if Sean was to be elected, he'd be in the minority and has no experience at all when it comes to the Congress. No disrespect. That's reality. He is a lawyer, though. He's another lawyer. Keep in mind, I say that with a great deal of respect for lawyers. I'm spending enough on them. I heard the governor say something about earmarks. I respect your beliefs. How many in this room are in a community that's asked me for earmarks? Raise your hands. Raise your hands. Be truthful, raise your hands. Everybody! You need me now more than ever to fight Obama and Hillary Clinton, George Miller, and Nancy Pelosi.
Now, we don't know really what to say about that or how we can top that, but we're going to sign off today by reminding you of the mink incident last year and those frightening few moments on the floor of the House of Representatives.
And if we continue this, what we call biting one another, very much like the mink in my state that killed their own. There's always another day when those who bite will be killed too. Those that bite me will be bitten back. Now, you back to balance my time.